welcome. So, let's hop right in. You've composed a song for musical theater, and you've got to find a way to expand that song without simply just copying and pasting, which is something that I see a lot of people doing, especially newer composers, but we don't really want to be doing the copying and pasting. Why? Because that's boring, it's repetitive, and also it indicates a level of stasis that's not necessarily true or appropriate for the characters that you're writing for in these moments in your stories. So, how can we do some storytelling in the music, with some musical development? So, as I mentioned, I have often found that with new composers, there's a lot of copying and pasting, and because this tends to be something that feels very daunting at the start, right? You've got an idea, and you want it to develop, but you're not sure what to do, and the only thing that you may know, especially as a new composer, is to add more layers. And that's one tactic. That is one tactic that is absolutely usable. But, there's more. Not only is there more, but also it has to be appropriate to the moment and to the story and to the character if you're going to add extra layers. Sometimes that's not what the moment's calling for. So for me, one of my favorite things to play around with when I'm writing a piece of music and then I want to go through the developmental process is actually to play around with subtracting, taking away notes, taking away layers. This can be something that you either continue to do throughout the piece, or it's something that you just get to play around with and then not keep or use parts of. Like, there's lots of different ways to do this. But also sometimes, instead of adding and subtracting, maybe you want to just rearrange the sections of the song that sound similar so they have a different feel. So, today, we're going to look at some examples of each of these tactics and see how we might be able to use them to build a song with musical development that tells a story in the music. But first and foremost, hi. Thank you for joining me here today. I am Michael Ratty, aka Musical Theater Writer Guy. And, on this channel, we talk all about musical theater from a storytelling perspective, mostly focused on writers, but we do talk about the other creators in the process as well. I am a musical theater writer, composer, lyricist, librettist, vocal coach, educator. I'm the founder of the Musical Theater Writing Collective, which is an online is our main, but it's also kind of hybrid, online group of musical theater creators, not just writers, but our collaborators as well. And we have that information. I can post that in a link as well. If you're interested in joining us, come be a part of the community. We're lovely. We have fun. And if you're joining me live, please do indeed feel free. Oh, hey! The Broadway Maven has joined us. Good to see you. And please do comment as we go along today. Ask questions, do the things. I know there's a delay. I learned that from the first live stream, so I will try to bear that in mind as we go through today. And if you're joining on the replay, leave a comment. Let me know what resonated, what didn't resonate, what questions you have. I always go through the comments and I try to answer every single one of them. So please do. The format of these live streams is we are going to do some, a little bit of curriculum, I guess is the word I'm going with today. We're going to talk about things, information. There will be a topic, and we're going to do some deep dives. And I will also let you know about some other stuff that's upcoming. And then at the end, if there's time and there's questions, we'll do a little Ask Me Anything to fill up the remainder of the hour. Great, that's all the stuff. Let's do it. So, why this topic and why today? Well, last week in one of our bi-weekly labs that we do in the collective, we were talking a little bit about this topic, a small group of us, and how for a couple of us, this is something that we totally nerd out on. But I know, and I'm going to recognize fully, that that's not true for everybody. For a lot of composers, they find this kind of work to be relatively tedious, uninteresting, boring. For me, I think it is a delight, and I love to do it. I like to play around with my music. I like to add layers, take layers away, play around with the thing I originally wrote, and see what else it can be. So I thought today, finding some simple techniques that we could talk about to potentially be applied would be useful and interesting. especially if you don't want to go all the way into the realm of being an arranger or an orchestrator. This is a great way to kind of like dip your toe in a wee bit. Let's do it. Let's chat. Let's do the things. So, as I already mentioned, most of the time when we think about musical development, we are thinking about adding extra layers. This is a thing we can do, and by layers, I mean sometimes it's extra notes. Literally just more notes on the paper. That works. Sometimes the extra layers is added movement, rhythmic movement. Sometimes it's added instrumentation, whether that's in arrangement form or in an orchestration. Sometimes it's vocal arrangement. Adding more voices to a thing can also be a part of this process. So I figured we would take a song that utilizes this idea and does it very well and kind of take us through it, analyze it, show what's happening. So we're going to look at the Chimchurri prologue from Mary Poppins. What are you all drinking this morning? I have a protein shake, which is a little off today. Well, if I get sick, we know why. Alright, so we have this beautiful opening of Mary Poppins. We all know Mary Poppins, the film, I'm sure, but you may or may not be familiar with the Broadway show. I worked at the Broadway show as a bartender for the last year and a half it was open, so I'm intimately familiar with this score. I love this score. I think this show is beautiful and wonderful, and I'd love to tell people about why it's so good at some point. Maybe we'll do that for a live stream. We'll analyze Mary Poppins. But for the moment, what the beginning of the show does brilliantly, partially because of the musical development, is it takes us into the story. It allows us to have a little bit of breath and space, gives us a twinkle of magic, gives us a little bit of what's coming, plants some seeds, and then we are hooked. By the time we get to the actual song moment that comes right after this, we are pretty much prepped and ready to go for the story. We're interested, we're caught, we're captivated. It's done very, very well. So let's take a look. I'm not the best pianist in the world. Be warned. But here we go. Alright, so we have this opening, which just seems like dark and mysterious, right? Now we get to the first time through the melody. I think we're all familiar with this melody. I did not warm up. Should I sing it? Maybe I'll sing it. We've got winds in the east, there's a mist coming through. Or, no, coming in, sorry. Like something is brewing and about to begin. Our first little bit of movement. So far it's just been chords and a pedal tone, right? Can't put me finger on what lies in store. Bass line is now moving. That's different than before. No more pedal tone. A little bit of movement, right? Leading us to feel what's to feel what's happened, all happened before. So, that's one time through this particular section of melody, which is something that's going to come up over and over and over again, not just in the prologue, but throughout the show. That motif is going to string us together from song to song to song, and even between scenes, little bits of magic happen whenever this melody comes around. So we're setting up that motif now to give a sense of the magic of this kind of London, right? By the time we get to the end of that section, we do finally have a little bit of movement in the right hand, right? To feel what's all happened before. And then we pull back. Because you want to tease out what's going to happen. We don't want to just dive in full steam ahead. There's so much more to set up. We don't want to overwhelm the audience, right? But so far, really great little development. Mini development. So we have a father, a mother, a daughter, a son. Okay, so that's different. We're now giving full chords. We're popping them on the two. The two has not been emphasized yet. And we are giving just a different registration. Mini changes that add so much to the magic, right? And we can even infer from the way that those chords are kind of blinking up there that something is happening. Probably a light reveal on each of these, right? You can kind of hear the stagecraft in what's happening musically. And I'd be curious to know what came first. Did those chords get added because light was coming, like through direction? Or did the direction add that little sprinkle of reveal because of the music? I don't know. Be curious to know. If anyone knows the writers, have them call me. No, literally, that'd be cool. I'd love to interview them. Okay. A father, a mother, a daughter, a son. Through the threads, I don't know these lyrics, the threads of their lives are all raveling undone. Now we have a little slightly different rhythm. It's all still in 3, it all feels very normal, we've got this waltz-like thing happening, but we're just getting a little something extra. Why? Because we're getting more into the meat of it. Now we're going to get full chords in the right hand, and we're going to get a little motif in the left hand too. Little jumping. Something is needed with the... To twist them? Ugh, man. I work to the show, but I don't know the lyrics. To twist them as tight as the string you might use when you're flying a kite. Okay, sorry about that for a moment. We get this. Right, a little bit of extra movement. That's fun. It's pulling us forward. We love that. A different way to emphasize the 2 with the chords up top, which is great. And then we have this string you might use. Unison movements. We're pulling off of the development we just gave. We don't want to give too much away too soon. Why though? Because we're gonna do this little flourish. Leading to the first time we're getting big chords up above, so we're getting 4-note chords now, and the left hand's gonna take the movement. Chim chimney, chim chim, cherry, chim charoo. We're back to a pedal tone, but it sounds big and sweeping. Now we're going to change keys because there's a lot of scene work that happens in there, and here we go. And we're going to get something that feels more like the song proper. What you know from the movie. Why? Because now we've done the setup we need to do. It's time to take the song moment and transition in. Literally inside the house now. We are going inside the house and we're going to look at the action between these characters. So Bert has introduced us to the world, given us a sense of the magic, pulled us in, given us flourish, given us a grandness in this. I mean, does it get any grander than this, really, this? Right? There's something about that gives musical theater magic. We know something big is going to happen. Now we're going to simplify, because we're zooming in to people and individual stories. The fun part. Ooh, I don't know these lyrics. Of all London's byways where I doth me cap, though this one the hardest to find on a map. Good. This. Oops. That sounds like the original song as we know it, right? It's a little more bare, but we've got that through line still with the lovely descending line. La, 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 la. We've hinted at that before in some of the chords, but this is the first time we're calling it out outright. Why? To show more of the depth of what we can do with this thing, right? This motif, we don't want to get bored of it, but we also want to plant the seeds for how it might develop later on throughout the show. It's beautifully done. It's really good. So after that, on a map, we've got Cherry Tree Lane. Oh, there's that descending again. As sweet as a song, but the nannies who come here don't stay here for long. Oh, we start adding big chords again up top. Oh, is that important? Why, yes it is. The nannies who come here don't stay here for long. We're about to watch a nanny run on out because of the children. setting up Mary Poppins' entrance and the need for Mary Poppins. So it's important. So it gets a little more grandiosity, but also we're leaving some space for the voice in here, right? Nannies who come here don't stay here for long. And then we get to finally end the thing. Chim chimney, chim chim, chari, oops, re chim cha. This is the first time we're getting chords in both the left and the right. And then we actually don't finish the song. I know there's a final chord on my paper. Ignore it. It's not there in the musical. We transition into the inside the scene of the Banks house moment, which is beautiful. Great. So, to remind you where we started, all we had at the beginning by the time we get to the end, we've gone through so many iterations and we've added a lot of grandiosity and a lot more notes, right? And each of these moments, these movements have a purpose to them, right? A lot of it is introduction to the world, to the magic, to the people, and then finally into the story, which is, part of Bert's job here as the narrator. I think that's a beautiful piece of musical development where we are adding layers but smartly, and we're not doing the same type of layer every time we add a new one, right? We add more notes, then we add more movement, then we add more notes in a different way, then we add more movement in a different way, then we change the movement, and then we add more notes again, right? It's a gradual progression for a song that's relatively short. I mean, the prologue is what? 90 seconds? Minute? I don't know, but pretty complicated, nonetheless. In a good way. Very good way. I do want to play a little simple example of development, because I'm now just realizing how complex that one actually kind of is. So, was not planning to do this. I use this one in the flagship course as an example of miniature development as well. Just don't want to lose this page. Great. Okay. So there's a song from The King's Legacy called Icy. This is a moment when the current queen, Catherine Varrigan, is watching as Henry, her husband, is dancing with Anne Boleyn. So this is the first time they're really coming together, and she sees his interest and her interest, and the whole court is dancing in slow motion in the premiere production, while Catherine has this moment. It's an introspective moment, but by the end of this, we see that she's no longer going to sit by and just watch. So that's what the song's about. It's called I See. It's an AABA song, and there is development, but it's pretty simple development, but effective. Daily I sit and observe, watch as they all find the nerve to chase what they think they deserve. Yes, I see a bass note. Mid-range, but a bass note. Ladies who want something more, men seeking glory and war, the man whom I'll always adore. Yes, I see. B section, a little fuller, but different music, right? I know you long to grow, and yet I bleed to be what you need. We're back to the A section with more development. We're going to add some chords to the registration up top, as well as drop our registration for the bass line down below. Nightly I kneel and I pray, hoping to God you will stay, but knowing that soon you will break away any day from me. Yes, I see. Simple little song. A-A-B-A. But it develops nonetheless, effectively. We start off feeling so fragile at the top, right? Like something really could break her. But by the end, that last A section, we get a sense she's gonna do something. Right? Subtle, but it works. Oh, hello from England. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining us, Purple Pop.
That's one of the process concept search first time.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad the videos are helpful to you. That is very sweet. I appreciate you writing that. You know, sometimes we just put things out into the void that is the internet, and I just like hope and pray that they're useful to people. So, thank you. I really appreciate it. Alright. I'm going to use another example from this show a little later on, so I'm putting it down. Okie dokes. Let's move on to a second thought here, which is, yes, okay, so we can absolutely add notes. That's great. We love adding notes. We can add notes. We can do all those things. But what if we stick to the same general concept of what we wrote, but then just do a little rearrangement? Just like, take the music, and instead of adding more or taking away necessarily, it's more about giving it a different feel, a different pop, a different movement. I don't see this done a lot in musical theater anymore. I think there's more of it in the classic shows. I'm wondering if I agree with myself. I think I agree with myself there. Huh. I'll have a talk with myself later. But I'm choosing a modern example for this. A modern example. From Thoroughly Modern Millie. I am great at jokes. Alright, so let's take a look at Gimme Gimme. If we're all familiar with the song, I hope we are, it does the same melody a lot, but it does it in different ways, which is very exciting. So, I'm going to skip the verse for the moment. We get into this. I say, this is the first time we're hearing the main idea. Gimme, 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 so much space. Gimme, gimme, that thing called love. I want it. Gimme, gimme, that thing called love. I need it. Highs and lows, tears and laughter. Give me happy ever after. Gimme, gimme that thing called love. So that's the thing that we're doing. And that's the first time we hear it. Like you hear, it's pretty sparse. Got a lot of space. It's not that there isn't some movement being added in the further along we go. There is. But the chords are pretty rich too. Like, it's not for a lack of notes. We're just kind of playing them in chord form. That's it. That's all we're doing. Great. We're going to do the melody again. Different words, obviously. Musical theater. But it's going to change in feel a little bit. Picks up just a little bit in tempo here. And we have gimme, gimme that thing called love. I crave it. Gimme, gimme that thing called love. I'll brave it. Okay, before we even go on from there, we have this chug, right? Love it, right? It's a steady beat. We now have something that's got that 1, 2, 3, 4 with ye old classic. Bum, 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 bum. Right? We love that in musical theater. It's great. Provide something a little bit different. Thank you for being here. Check out the Broadway Mavens channel. Very, very good channel. I appreciate you being here. I hope all is good in Jerusalem. Thank you for tuning in. Chug. Effective. To provide a little extra movement. But we're still getting the chords, right? But now we get something a little bit different. We have our first something that's not just strictly on the beat. Ba da 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 da. Right? We get our syncopation for the first time. This is totally my Millie. This is how far into the show? 2/3? 3/4? And we know that there's syncopation all over the score, but we've been holding off so far. Okay, now we're adding a little bit back in. Why? Does that indicate that maybe she's coming a little more to life with this idea of gimme gimme? Maybe? I don't know. Who's to say? I didn't write it, but we could ask Janine. Right? Janine Tesori wrote this, I think. I'll brave it, thick and thin, rich or poor time. Give me years, and again with the syncopation. I want more time. Give me that thing called love. And again, we have that little syncopated thing that's bridging the gap now. Right? That's cute. And now we're going to change keys. But we're going to do the same melody again, right? But it's going to have a different flavor. Why? Because we are picking up steam. We are getting more excited about this idea. Because she wants the love. She's decided she wants it. Right? So, now we are moving into cut time. And it says spirited in 2. Not only that, we do have a bass line that's going to feel familiar. It is still based on that idea of the bum, bum, but we are adding notes now. We are doing the old. Right? Feels a little more vaudeville now, which is, you know, great, because musical theater is in part based on vaudeville. So we have this in the right hand now. We're going to get the same ideas chord-wise, but we're also going to get a little more of that syncopation we were just exploring. Great, cute. Do I know how this goes? We'll find it. Give me that thing called love. I'm free now. Give me that thing called love. I see now fly dove, sing sparrow. Give me Cupid's famous arrow. Give me that thing called love. And then we speed up a little bit more when we're about to do the B section that goes into the big thing. But we get that fun, like, dance your vaudeville little moment there, right, progression-wise. But then when we get to sing, Fly Dove Sing Sparrow, we go back to the ba-ba-ba-ba with the bump in the bass line, right? Fly dove, sing sparrow, give me Cupid's famous arrow, give me that thing called love. And then we do something more interesting again. Why? Because we can't go too far too fast, right? Even when we're rearranging, you can fall back onto a little bit of the arrangement that you did before in order to just like put the brakes a little bit on the development process. Just a little bit, a wee bit. Okay. I am going to play the B section because this leads into our last time through the Gimme Gimme music. Alright? Plus, it's such a good B section. This, not going to lie, this is one of the best B sections, I think, in modern musical theater. There's something about it that just works so freaking well. I've never studied why. I should. I don't care if he's a nobody. In my heart, he'll be a somebody. Somebody to love me. There's a big flourish. The gimme gimme music, right? So grand now. I need it. Give me that thing called love. I want it. And now we do the final moment. Here I am, Saint Valentine. My bags are packed. I'm first in line. Then we're gonna finish the song and it goes and does something else. But we end up with a big cakewalk feel. Why? Because she's feeling so big about all these feelings that It can no longer be contained with just speed alone. We are going to rearrange the same music with essentially the same number of notes. Again, we've got that bum, 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 and chords. Same thing we were just doing a page ago, but it's huge, it's grand, it is slowed down, right? This is what makes it fun and interesting. At least I think so. So that is one way we can develop, is just by rearranging the music we've already written. I would love, and I do mean love, to see more of that happening. I should do more of that myself. You know, take a little bit of my own advice. Great. I need liquid in my throat. So let's pause for a moment here. P.S. If you're enjoying this, please do leave a comment, but if you could give the video a little like so it can spread to more people like you, I'd really appreciate that. It is, you know, tough to get the info out there, but I want to help people. I'm here to help writers, and I want to get more information out to all of you. Yeah, I know how hard it is to find info sometimes. So, also, if you have specific questions that you would like me to answer or do a live stream about or a video about, please comment those below too, or reach out to me. I'm very, very happy to put some topics in that I'm not planning on, or just restructure for what's useful for you. Also, this is super nerdy, this conversation. And we could go into like musical notation, language depth about it. We're not today, but if you like that kind of thing, hey, come join us in the collective. We talk very nerdily all the time. The bi-weekly labs in particular, because part of the labs is, yes, you can sign up to bring in stuff to share and get feedback on. We love that part. But also, we often end up just chatting, too. Like, after shares are over, we'll stay on, we'll chat about things. Sometimes I'll just be playing the piano while other people chat, and it's fun. It's a delight. So, come join us. Oh, also, we just did something great and exciting and new. We did the first reading in our new reading series in the Musical Theater Writing Collective. So every other month now, to start, though I foresee that becoming every month very quickly, we will be doing a reading of a new musical. And the idea here is for me and the collective to help the writers put these things together so they can hear their work and get what they are looking for out of sharing the work in a full reading setting. Whether that's a first reading or further along the developmental process. We do utilize Zoom, but we can also do these hybrid. There's lots of ways to do it. I've got many thoughts. So if you've got a show that you'd like to do a reading of so you can hear it, but also so you can get some feedback, that's another great reason to join the collective. You just apply to the reading series. It's free. You know, try not to keep gates financially for people. So, you know, come join us. I'll pin a comment to the collective below. I've talked about the collective enough today. I should just do it. Okay, I did not actually put liquid in my throat. You know what it is? It doesn't taste as chocolatey today. Okay, here we go. Alright, last idea. This is the one that I love the most. Subtracting notes. Oh yes, please do. Please do look into it. It is interesting. It's fun. We have a lot of fun in the collective. There are a lot of programs, and I'm building a course right now that is a songwriting course that is going to be all about the fundamentals, not just in terms of song structure, but the major pillar types of songs that you will be writing in your musical theater journeys, and looking deep at examples and what they're doing and why they work. Lots of great stuff to come. Back to this. Okay, subtracting notes. Now, I have to say, I did not think about the idea of subtracting notes as development until I was in the BMI workshop, and one of the then moderators, I think he's still moderating, I don't know, Rick Fryer, said, "Composers, the eraser is your best friend. When in doubt, start taking notes away." And my brain lit up. I was like, what? Subtracting? Is that a thing we can do? It's true. Like, taking notes away is a great way to develop a song, especially if there's either a need for it or it would help amplify in some way. You've been curious about how musical theaters are song conventions. Yeah, that's a great question. We do talk about that a little bit in the course that I'm structuring. How conventions have changed. Actually, we talk a lot about that now that I'm thinking about it, both structurally and then in each of the lessons about the different types of songs. But I'm gonna go give it another pass and sprinkle a little bit more of that information through. Thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate you. All right, so let's look at an example of how taking away some notes can help with development. This is another song from The King's Legacy. This one, fell out of me. It was great. I love when that happens. It's a beautiful little piece, if I do say so myself. And I'm going to play I'm going to play probably the whole song, honestly, just so you can hear the difference in development. So it's an A-B-A-C, 32-bar chorus, and then another A-B-A-C. And the main change in development happens between the first chorus and the second chorus. You will hear in the two A sections that there's a little bit of development, but we'll go through it. Do the thing. Here we go. I have a nerdy story about this little vamp at some point. Not today. So strong, yet so tender, born into splendor, cheeks like a Tudor rose. Second half of the A section, we're going to add an extra note in the left hand. Not much, just a little nugget. Soft skin, fair complexion, you are perfection, Lizzie. You're my Tudor rose, fully him and me. What a peerless queen you'll be. That we guarantee. Second A of the first 32 bar. It's going to feel pretty much the same. Nothing changes here yet. We haven't finished our thought, that's why, in case you were curious. All England will love you, with none above you. You are the Tudor rose, Hugh's Henry's volition, and my ambition, daughter. And you'll keep rising, you're right. C-section now. Ooh, C-section. Not the phrase I wanted. White gown, red upon your crown, the world will see your Tudor rose. Now here in the transition, we get that initial vamp, but we're moving the right hand up the octave to set us up for the change, for the development. We're about to take notes away. So we're giving space now. Whoop, what's that called? Good for me. First A section of the second chorus. Listen how sparse this is. When England was burning, the country yearning, that's when a Tudor rose. We're gonna add a little bit of note in, but not much. Like family before you, they will adore you. Lizzie, your mother knows. Okay? A little bit of development to give more space. Why? Because we're zooming out, right? We were just talking about... Oh, by the way, this is Anne Boleyn holding her newborn daughter, Elizabeth. Yeah, the future Queen Elizabeth I. So it's an intimate moment. We're getting this movement that feels close, right? And now we're going to zoom out to a larger idea. Because now we're talking about why it's important that Lizzie will be Anne's legacy, the Tudor Rose. So we're talking about when all England was burning, right? All the war that came before this moment that Elizabeth will make sure doesn't happen in the future. So we're getting this it's sparse. And it's a little bit dissonant. A little bit more dissonant than it has to be necessarily. Right? And then we're zooming back in as we talk about family. And then we get our first other voices. There's two timelines in this show. The older Elizabeth actually comes in and sings the next section. And because it's a new voice, I didn't change the B. The B is what it was before. But then we get the ensemble of women singing in at the end of the B section, into the next A section, and through the end of the song. So there's more voices. With more voices, we want to keep this relatively sparse to give room for those voices. Especially since they're singing in harmony, which it sounds so good when they sing it. So our B section, I was going to sing it up the octave. You gave all of you to enjoy your dream came true. Now we have full chords, 4-note chords that they are singing, but we're keeping the piano light. If you only knew. Now they are singing full triads here. Anne Boleyn singing over top of it, the main melody line, and they're all going to kind of join in chords for the rest of the time. So we're going to give more of a sense of what we had at the beginning, but keep it light enough that we are not distracted from the voices, which are more important at this moment. With grace overflowing and ever growing, blessed, exquisite rose. Oh, I didn't even mention. So I'm also keeping the registration high in the right hand at this moment as well, because the voices are in the middle. They're all here. I don't want the frequencies to clash. I want to give space. Okay? So that also came into play when I was looking at what version I wanted to do of this A section as I was writing it. Because they're all here. So this, with grace overflowing and now ever growing, blessed, exquisite rose. Now a little more movement because they're all singing the words now, just in harmonies. You'll be what we need now, and you'll succeed now, Lizzie. A woman arising. And then we're going to finish it out with a final C that leads to the ending with a lot of beautiful voices. Assured bold with a heart of gold. Little extension. Be vibrant. Oop, no. That, I'm singing a harmony. Be vibrant, luring. Lose our thorns, keep enduring. All of the world shall behold. Leaving room again. As you bloom and rise. Oh, guys, they're going into 4-part harmony now. Before your eyes are darling to the rose, and then in a unison. Just a pretty little ditty. A pretty little ditty. I've never said that before, but I like it. It stays. So we take this idea from the little baby Elizabeth, and Mom's hopes and dreams for her, and the evidence for why she's going to be the legacy, the Tudor Rose, the legacy for both herself and for Henry, right? We start there. Then we begin to zoom out. We talk about the family. Well, first of all, we talk about the history and why it's important that she continues the peace. Then we talk about the family and the embrasure. And then we keep it in this kind of zoomed out lens as we talk about why it's important that a woman succeeds. And then all these other voices come through, and Elizabeth adds that little extra knowledge of, if only you knew, if only you were aware of how important this moment really was. Bringing it back to this moment between mother and daughter, when everyone comes back into unison. Just a little development. A little guy. Just a wee guy. That's good. It works. I love using the eraser. I could probably use it more even. So that's a thought. And that is the extent of my thoughts today on this particular topic. I have plenty of thoughts. I could keep talking for hours. Come to the collective. I'll do it. But I do want to just begin to pull back the veil on what musical development can be and give some thoughts. Maybe you are sparked by something today, by the conversation about adding notes or subtracting notes or rearranging. Maybe you're not. I don't know. We can get a lot more in depth about this because orchestration and arrangement are things that are deep enough in knowledge base that there are people who go to school for them and then do them for their jobs. So it can get quite complicated and we could really go into depth at some point. I will be here till noon for an Ask Me Anything moment. If anyone has anything, please toss it into the chat. There we go. I'm also, just so we're here, and while people may be typing questions, may not be, want to leave room for the delay. I think at some point in the near future, I'm going to do a full playthrough of this show for people. I get a decent number of questions about why isn't there more King's Legacy content? Why don't you have demos? Well, the answer for why I don't have demos is they are very expensive to make. I would like to make demos. I would love to. And I think it'd be important to have, and by demos I mean a full album to release. Because I look at accounts like Your Musical Dealer on TikTok, and I'm like, I don't have something to release that could be like, hey, take a look at this. So, I would love to do that at some point. But in the meantime, while I don't have that, I can just play through the show. Maybe get some people to come join me, and we can just do a live little sing-through, which would be cute and fun. Oh, you are welcome, Purple Pop. Thank you again for being here. I appreciate you. Well, if your comment came through, then there's been enough time for people to ask questions. So, as we go forward into the remainder of the spring into summer, just letting y'all know that the next live stream will actually be on a Thursday, not a Friday. It'll be the Thursday going into Memorial Day weekend, because I'll be out of town for the weekend, so keep an eye out for the date change. Otherwise, I'm around. You know where to find me. Pardon me. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here today or being here on the replay. I appreciate you all. Come check out the collective. Link will be below. And otherwise, I'll see you again soon. All right, everybody. Cheers. Bye.